Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. This is your morning Manchester United news show, and I tell you what, it feels like more of a news show than we've had all week because it's been constantly about managers, as we know, and what's going on with that. We do have a manager update, but we've got quite a lot of transfer stories as well. I want to talk about this nonsense around Paul Pogba last night, Declan Rice, 3 centre-backs linked to us as well, and of course bits of updates on the manager situation. So it feels good. Feels good to be doing a proper news show for the first time this week that's just not dominated with the managerial situation. However, we will start off with the managerial situation. Declan Rice transfer boost as well. We'll be talking about that. But what's going on with the managerial situation at the moment? Funnily enough, I just actually quote tweeted something on Twitter about this bloody PSG won't have to pay compensation to Pochettino, and there's just this myth that Man United would get Pochettino for free. Be wary of what this club and what this media might try and do with Pochettino. They still might try and spin Pochettino as a manager. I wouldn't say I'd throw up if we appoint him. I think that's way too melodramatic, but I'd be so disappointed if they go down that route. The option is Ten Hag, and that is the right option. And interestingly, I was on a bit of a WhatsApp messaging thing last night. I was on WhatsApp messaging someone last night and talking about the managerial situation. They're probably closer to information than I ever would be. And we were talking about the managerial situation. And basically, this Luis Enrique and Lopetegui thing, it's a big load of crap. It's just... What is it? What actually is this? We want to interview loads of people. They want to interview Poch. That's what they want to do. They've interviewed Ten Hag and they want to interview Pochettino. And basically what they're trying to do is they know nobody really wants Pochettino, and they want to interview Pochettino. So they're throwing in Enrique and other managers to pretend that they want to talk to other managers. Everybody knows we've spoken to Ten Hag, and they want to basically speak to Pochettino because it's a 2-horse race. They can't say the delay is to speak to Pochettino because everyone will go crazy about it. So they're now making out that they're going to talk to other managers, but the reality is they're not going to talk to any managers with any intent. I was told this last night. The reality is they may as well interview Pep Guardiola because Enrique ain't available in the summer, and they're not going to go for Lopetegui. So effectively, they are stalling to speak to Pochettino. Why they're doing that, who knows? I think Jan Arga made a great point last night. Why Man United making a big... I mean, in a way, they're making themselves look foolish, and I agree with what Fjortov said, because basically he said that why Man United almost showing off that they're going to speak to lots of different managers. When you look at it, all these managers have very different styles of play. Surely, over the last 8 months, since you sacked Solskjaer, surely as part of your research, you've identified the right style of football and the right style of manager to take this club forward. And yet you want to interview 4 different managers with 4 different styles and 4 different philosophies and 4 different backgrounds. That doesn't sound like a thorough research project. That sounds like a complete and utter mess again. It's like, you know what it's like? It's like when you want a striker and you research Erling Haaland, Lacazette, just 4 different strikers basically. And that is the best way of thinking about it. We're looking at 4 different types of striker. Surely we know what type of manager we want, and therefore just go and get them. If you want Ten Hag, why are you interviewing Pochettino? They're very different. Very different styles of managers, very different backgrounds, very different styles of football, very different philosophies. I guarantee if you interview Ten Hag and Pochettino, they'll have very different ideas of what players they want and what vision they want. So why are we doing that? You know what I mean? It's fuzzy. It's fuzzy, but they're making out like, again, it's playing to idiots, isn't it? Oh, we're doing a thorough research project. We want to interview lots of people, and fair play to Jan Arga for I hadn't really thought of it either, and it's very obvious. Why would we applaud this then? You've had 5 months to figure out what sort of manager you want, and you're interviewing different types of managers at the end of fucking March. What are you doing? Who runs this bloody football club? What are you doing at this football club interviewing 4 different types of managers with 4 different philosophies? What is it? Lucky dip day? I like what he said. I've never thought of that before. Just get on with what... You're in charge. It's not the manager's job to sit down and give you a vision. You have the vision and you find the manager that fits that vision. Do you not know how to bloody lead? I mean, it's scary. It really is scary. But look, would you rather Poch or Ralph as the next manager, says Ryan? I'd probably rather Rangnick, to be honest. I don't want Pochettino. As I said, I did the video yesterday on Pochettino, and there's no doubting that his CV is relatively good. I mean, somebody was on Twitter yesterday quoting what Pochettino did between 2015 and 2017. I said, wake up, mate, it's 2022. And we can all talk about what Mourinho did back in 2015. He ain't doing it now. I don't want Pochettino. It's as simple as that. And ultimately, he's not a bad guy and he's not a bad manager. But I'm starting to get really frustrated about the name Pochettino because I just really don't want him. And it's not really his fault. I just don't want him at the club. And how can that be a good start for any relationship when fans do not want this man to be our manager? He'd have to go on. I just don't want it to happen, and I think the club just annoy me so much because it's ridiculous. It's their job it scares me. It really scares me. It's their job to provide a vision for the future, and they're interviewing different managers with different visions. You set the vision. They just don't know what they're doing, do they? They clearly don't know what they're doing. But they've got a real opportunity to put a contract in front of Ten Hag's face today or tomorrow and get this deal done. They don't understand football, that's why, says Scott. And as we move into the transfer stuff, this is very interesting, and this is the thing why I and many others believe that the manager, i.e. Ten Hag, should have been given the contract now, to sign now, so that when he's back managing Ajax next week, he knows he's coming to Man United and we know he's coming to us, because this is absolutely nailed on the reason why we should have had a manager done by now, i.e. this week, because if you listen to what Christian Falk is saying about Rudiger, now I'm not saying he's 100% right about this, but we know Christian Falk has good connections around German football, and obviously Rudiger is German. He's out of contract in the summer with Chelsea, and he has options. Real Madrid, Manchester United are interested. But what Christian Falk has said this morning is that Rudiger is uncertain about the Manchester United project because he wants to talk to the coach before making his mind up, and there's no coach to talk to. So therefore, he's more than likely not going to come to United. He'll go to a club, maybe a Bayern Munich, maybe a Juventus, maybe a Real Madrid, who they know who their manager is. This is exact, and I'm grateful that article's come out, because that is exactly the problem we've been talking about for 3 or 4 weeks. We will miss out on players now. We're going to start missing out on players because now is the time that players want to sort their next season out, because when the season ends, they want to go on holiday. They want a break. It's the first break footballers have had in nearly 3 years, because we've had Euros, we've had the COVID summer. Most footballers just want to get to the end of this season and have a month off for the first time in bloody ages. And to do that, they need to know where they're going to be next season. And there's players that are available right now who want that to happen. I think Paul Pogba might be a player in the summer who just waits and sees what happens on what's on offer, but most players won't. Well, that's a great story about Rudiger. And you could apply it to Declan Rice, you can apply it to Tchouameni, you can apply it to anyone. I mean, I woke up this morning and saw that Real Madrid are in talks with the Ajax right back. Bayern Munich are in talks with Gravenberch. People are doing deals, and we can't do deals because we don't know who our manager is. And this is where I start to panic again, because I'm like, the week started off well, we've spoken to Ten Hag, and now it's like we want to talk to loads of people. You don't. You're desperately trying to figure out a way to get Pochettino in the job. And to get Pochettino in the job, you've got to sort the deal out with PSG, and then you've got to sell it to your fans. It's going to take bloody weeks. Weeks. In which case, you don't know whether he's going to be a manager, so you can't appoint him, and you can't appoint anybody else. In which case, we could have weeks and weeks and weeks where Rudiger's like, I'd like to come to you, but who's your manager? Well, we don't really know. Okay, I'm off. This is why I wanted a manager done this week, so that we know who the manager is, and we can go to a player next week and say, "Oi, Declan, do you want to come to Man United? Who's your manager?" Ten Hag. All right, okay, I'll have a think about that. That's interesting. Who's your manager? We don't know. Yeah, see you later. Like this is not just about a manager. It's about the ability to sell your club to signings in the summer, and we are unable to do that at the moment in time because we're having a research project. We're going to speak to lots of managers. Sort your bloody vision out. What's the director of football's job? What's the technical director's job? What's the CEO's job? Sort the manager out now, and you might get a Rudiger next week. I mean, it probably won't happen, but at least you could say to Rudiger, our manager is Ten Hag. He's going to be the manager. Are you interested in that project? Yes, I am. No, I'm not. We move on. And it's always been the problem. But United seem to think they're right to sit there going, well, we're going to take our time. Snooze, you bloody well lose. And that's what's going to happen here. You've interviewed the right man on Monday. Give him the job today. Speak to the players you want tomorrow. Get going. speed is important here. I can't understand anybody who's not pushing this, because you've interviewed the right man. You've interviewed the man that wants the job. You've interviewed the man that fits the job. You've interviewed the man the fans want the job. You've interviewed the man where there's going to be huge excitement. You've interviewed the man where you can give him the contract and he'll probably sign it. And then next week you can talk to players and say, this is the man we've got. I mean, why would you delay? I'm telling you now, Chelsea, Man City, Liverpool would have this done now. They'd be done because they know they've got to get... We're already starting slow on the transfer window. Every day we wait, we lose more time. And every day we wait, we lose more opportunities because players are talking to clubs. Hi Mark, not caught any of your live shows past few days, so hope you're doing well. I'm struggling to get excited for Ten Hag because I think he won't even get to Christmas before the blame is back on the board, says Nick97. Well, the blame will always be on the board. Yeah. I really hope you're wrong, Mark. This obsession with Poch, really don't understand it, says Amari. Well, the obsession with Poch, pure and simple, is people within Man United Football Club and people around Manchester United Football Club that people listen to telling them to go for Poch. That's the problem. There is a minority of people in that football club who are very powerful telling them to go for Pochettino. And some of them are players. And that's the problem. Manchester United are shitting themselves because they know appointing Pochettino is going to go down like a lead balloon, but they're terrified of upsetting the people within the club who are telling them to get Pochettino. Basically, they're desperately trying to figure out a way how they can spin this, either to go with Ten Hag and not have angry people within the club, or go with Pochettino and sell it as a good positive, and that's the problem. That's why they're delaying. But the delay's no good. If they're going with Pochettino, appoint him today. I don't want him, but appoint him today. I would spin it that way. Like, whoever your manager is, you need them in now to sort the summer transfer window out. I don't want Pochettino, but just do it. If that's your plan, do it and see what happens. But delaying is just compounding the problem massively. Anyway, that was the story on Rudiger, which I think is quite interesting, that he would be willing to talk to Manchester United, but he wants to talk to a coach, and we don't have one, so therefore that can't happen. Let's talk about Declan Rice, and then we'll talk about another centre back that we've been linked to. In fact, it's the Barcelona one that I can't pronounce his name. Ronald, I'm going to call him Ronald Araújo, I think his name is. But anyway, he's Uruguayan, 22, and United have had a bit of a boost around him in the last 24 hours. Fans will soon get behind Pochettino after a few wins, says Butterbean. I disagree with you, mate. But you know why? Because he won't win every game. He won't. Even Ten Hag won't win every game. Fans will give Pochettino a chance, but I guarantee you, the first time we have a bad result, the players will turn and the fans will turn. I mean, it's an interesting prospect. And this is very petulant and reactionary, but if we get him in charge, as I said, my interest in United is like, I think I can read the next 3 years like a book, and it won't be good. It'll be fourth and sack or something like that. That's what happened. It will be, and the Glazers will go, that sounds great. We love that, but it won't be enthusiastic and it won't work. He ain't the man for this job, in my opinion. Anyway. Let's have a look at Declan Rice. So there was a story yesterday around Declan Rice. It's happened again. I start talking every morning on this show and the back of my nose just blocks up. I think I've got like adenoid problems or something. It really irritates me. I don't know what that means, Abenza, so I'm just going to block you. Because it could be abuse, so we'll just get rid of that. In relation to Declan Rice, there was a story yesterday. I think it may have been from the Athletic or an Athletic journalist, or it might have been the London Standard or somebody. I forget who it was, but basically they were saying that Declan Rice is open to a move to Manchester United, but his preference is still Chelsea. Obviously, there is real debate around Declan Rice's price. And I did a video on That's Football yesterday, and a lot of West Ham fans are saying we can ask for what we want because we don't want to sell him. West Ham know they're selling Declan Rice in the summer. I'll tell you that for free. They know that Declan Rice is going to go in the summer. His contract is not going to get renewed. I think he's got 2 or 3 years left on his contract. Every year they don't sell him, his price drops down. Where they think he's a £100 million player is absolutely hilarious. It really is. It's ridiculous. And I don't think Declan Rice is the sort of player that's going to push a move out of West Ham, because he's been very respectful about that. But I think West Ham need to respect him at some point and realise that he is a player that needs to be playing at a better club. He is open to a move to Manchester United. He is open to a move to Man City, and he would love a move to Chelsea. United are hanging in there, and we have a chance. And as I said the other day, there's no doubt that Declan Rice is a good player. And I think if you could bring him into Man United, he would certainly... I don't think anybody could doubt that Declan Rice would massively improve our midfield, because he's way better than McTominay or Fred or Matic, because they're, for different reasons, they're just not up to the job. So he'd be a massive improvement for us. But United are basically, and I suppose it might be the story of their summer in many ways, they're in line. We're not Manchester United, title contenders, open checkbook, come to us, we're the number one. You know, we can do what we want. We're Manchester United. We're probably in the Europa League. We can't really guarantee what our future is, and Chelsea, Man City offer a better future for him. So we're in line, and I think you've got to be in line for a player like that, but we're certainly not favourites. And I think some fans want to suggest that we are, because he would be open to coming to the club, and he would be open to coming to the club. He's aware of Manchester United's interest, and Manchester United have made their interest in Declan Rice almost public. He's certainly aware of it, but it's not his preference. I think if nobody else bids for Declan Rice in the summer and we do, and West Ham want to sell, he will be a Man United player. I think he would rather be at Man United than West Ham next season. But I think the Chelsea situation could change. Chelsea's his number one choice. It remains his number one choice. And I can see a scenario where Chelsea sort their new owner out and Declan Rice is their big signing in the summer. So we definitely need, anyway, if you're second or third choice, you've got to have some backup plans. I don't know who our backup plans are. I mean, many of us hope it's like a Tchouaméni or someone, or maybe a Ruben Neves. Basuma's been mentioned as well. But we've got to... What I would say about Declan Rice is I understand why the club wants him. Would I go for him? Not really at the price. I think we need to buy better. You could get Basuma and Neves for the price of Declan Rice. I'm not saying that they're better than him, but what I'm saying is you could get two really good £40 million players for Declan Rice's value. And I think when you're on a rebuild, that's what you need. I'm not knocking his talent, but I think there's a lot of reasons to maybe move away from that deal. He's not really giving us the indication that we're his number one choice, because we're not. And he's going to be very expensive. And again, is that another example of Manchester United wasting time? Are we wasting time on Declan Rice? Because we want Declan Rice, but are we wasting time on Declan Rice in the sense that we're waiting to see what happens with that? Good morning, Mark. What do your sources say? Are we getting Ten Hag? And when do you think the interview with Poch? Thank you, says Said. Look, my sources on this are not. I'm not going to pretend on this. Mohammed, thanks for the super chats. I get a little bit of phone conversation yesterday and a bit of a WhatsApp yesterday evening. My indication from people I speak to is that they don't know, because United don't know. As I said, what I think we can take as pretty much the case is that we did interview Ten Hag. They were very impressed with Ten Hag, and they want to interview Pochettino. All the Luis Enrique and Lopetegui stuff is a load of crap, absolute load of crap. Why interview somebody who can't take the job? So that's not a lot. Basically, they want to interview Pochettino. That's what they want to do. And I think what we're seeing now is delay. I don't know what United are going to do. They're delaying, and they're costing us big time. And I don't want to repeat myself, but they are delaying to speak to Pochettino. And what they're going to do then? How long after that are they going to then make their decision? We're losing out on players. We're wasting time. And I'll go back to what Fjortov said on his tweet yesterday. What's going on? Why is a football club interviewing different types of managers? They should have a vision for what they want and know what sort of manager they want. I said it yesterday. Why have we not interviewed Graham Potter? Graham Potter would fit into the style of football that we apparently want to play if we're going for a certain type of manager. Why are we not interviewing him then? We're interviewing different types of managers. Have a fucking vision, interview people within that vision, and get on with it. Oh, we'll interview that style. We'll interview that style. We'll interview that style. We'll interview that style. It's amateur. Just get on with the bloody job. The only reason Rice is 100 million is because of the English tax. I'd rather get 2 players from abroad for the same price, says Reese. Yeah. So let's see. I mean, I don't want to depress people on a Thursday morning, but everywhere we look around Man United's rebuild is time. That they're waiting. Time waits for no man or woman. You get on with the job. You've got to be aggressive in a rebuild. If somebody's uncommitted to coming to your football club, don't wait in line. Get moving. Move on. And we just seem to be doing what we always do. Dithering United. And one thing I will say, and look, maybe things will change. Maybe things will change at the club. Maybe. Fingers crossed. But this is factual. For the last 7 years, you speak to anybody in the industry about Manchester United, whether it's agents, negotiators, other clubs, and we're a laughing stock. We are amateur. Whether we're doing player renewals, whether we're signing players, whether we're dealing with intermediaries, we are a joke. We are laughed at because we are so slow. We dither on every decision. We're not proactive. We can't go and buy Fabinho in one evening like Liverpool did. We're incapable of it. And we're getting evidence of it again. There's too many people with too many opinions in that football club. And nobody is steering the ship in a way that it needs to be steered. And what's happening again? We're dithering. We don't know what CDM we want. We don't know what striker we want because we don't know what manager we've got. It's all up in the air. And next week it's April. It's not acceptable and it's not changing, and the challenge was to do something really quick, and the challenge is still there to be completed. Why can't you announce Ten Hag as your manager on Saturday? It can be done. And then suddenly everything changes. Like, pull your finger out your arse and get on with it. That's basically what needs to happen. But nobody will make a decision. They're terrified. What they basically want is a scenario where everyone agrees and they go, well, we all agree, do we? And they did exactly this in the international break in October, after we'd lost to Liverpool and after we'd lost to Man City, and we went into that international break and everyone was like, sack Solskjaer. They had 2 meetings after the Liverpool game and after the Man City game, and they all agreed, let's stick by Ollie. And they got it wrong. And they're waiting for that again. They're waiting for everybody on that board to agree again. So we know we're going to get some shit, but we're all going to go with Poch, are we? Yeah. We've got everyone's back, yeah. And they're going to mess it up again. They've got to sort it out. Declan Rice is not the answer to our midfield, says Geordie. An improvement possibly. I don't think he's on par with Rodri or Kante. Yeah, okay. And you'd think that with how often we'd been linked with Poch in the past, they'd have already interviewed him and know what he's about, says Richard. Well, exactly. Exactly. I mean, yeah. Mark, but how can we interview a manager that is currently being employed by another club? Will PSG let us do it? Hopefully not, says Said. Well, I think PSG... I think basically the delay is, and this is pure speculation, but basically I think the delay is they've interviewed Ten Hag because Ajax know that Ten Hag will leave in the summer, and they're happy for that to happen. So we've officially interviewed Ten Hag. That's there. We could officially appoint Ten Hag if we want to. The reason they're delaying is because they want to speak to Pochettino. But to speak to Pochettino, he's PSG's manager. If PSG sack Pochettino, they have to pay him 20 million, including his coaching staff, etc. If they don't sack Pochettino and he leaves by mutual consent, they don't have to pay him, which means they're £20 million better off and they haven't got to sack a manager and pay money for it. So allowing him to go to Manchester United might be something that works well for PSG. But there's a lot of conversations about that, because do PSG get compensation from United? Do they all just agree to write it off? I fear this is the problem. It's not just deciding whether Pochettino is the right man, it's also sorting a deal out with PSG. And the reality is, if we are delaying to do that, that is terrifying, because the man for the job you've already interviewed and he's available, and you're trying to sort out severance packages with Pochettino from PSG. How amateurish is that to be going for a manager like that? I don't see anybody else queuing up for Pochettino. Nobody's queuing up for Pochettino. So why? Because there's people in that club who think he's the right man. And the people in the club who think he's the right man are the people in the club who's made this football club shit for 10 years. Because all they want is somebody to get us 4th place. That's what's getting them excited. I want to be proved wrong. I want to be proved wrong, and if I'm proved wrong, I've said it for over a week now. If this club appoint Ten Hag in the next few days, I will stand up and say, well done. We're not back, but it's a small step forward. But I tell you what, we've all been down this road before so many times with this football club, and I just feel the delay now is because they're trying to work something out with Pochettino and PSG, and that to me is absolutely terrifying. And if I was an Arsenal fan or a Chelsea fan or a Liverpool fan or a Man City fan, I'd be rejoicing at our incompetence. The only thing they're scared of is if we go for Ten Hag. And they are. They're not terrified that we're back, but they don't want us to get Ten Hag. I forget what United fans think. Forget what the media think. Forget everything. You get the most truth in life, in football, from your rivals. Our rivals want us to get Pochettino. Our rivals don't want us to get Ten Hag. That, end of conversation, go and get Ten Hag. For me, if I'm in charge of United, I'm taking that to the bank. Our rivals don't want us to get Ten Hag. They really want us to get Pochettino. I wonder well, Man United probably go, yeah, because they're being respectful. They want us back at the top of English football because they want Pochettino. No, they want us to get Pochettino like they wanted us to keep Ollie. Because they know what will happen and it won't be success. Mark, if we have to let Bruno go or Rashford, who would you rather see leave? Jash, I mean, that's hypothetical nonsense because neither of them are going, but it would be Rashford. Right, next story. Ronald Araújo. I can't pronounce his surname. So, this is a 22-year-old Uruguayan centre-back who is out of contract in a year. We are constantly being linked to him. Barcelona are trying to get him on a new contract. My feeling is that he will sign a new contract at Barcelona. I think Fabrizio said that a couple of weeks ago when he was on the show as well. Yesterday, another story coming out from Spain that Barcelona are not going to move on the package that they've offered Ronald Araújo, but Manchester United have offered a much significantly better offer. I suppose this is just going to come down to how eager he is to leave Barcelona or whether he's just trying to get money out of Barcelona and United are being used. We've not really heard of anything concrete about Manchester United wanting him, but we have been linked to him now for quite a considerable amount of time. He's 6 foot. He's about 6'2", isn't he? 6'3". Right-footed. He can play right back and he can play centre back. Basically, I mean, he'd be a fantastic signing. And you wonder who it is if United are after him. Who's advised United to go after him? He'd be fantastic. And if we can offer more money than Barcelona to get a player like that, then you wouldn't knock it. But I do feel that this is just manoeuvring by Barcelona. And realistically, Manchester United are here at the moment with the potential to go even further down. Barcelona are definitely on the upward trajectory at the moment. And I just can't see why he'd come to Manchester United. I don't see it. But it's a news show. You have to mention the news. And it is an interesting story, but I think I wouldn't invest too much time in it. Keep an eye on it, which is why I've mentioned it in the news show. But this is all coming from Spanish reports, and I do feel that maybe we're being used here to boost it, because ultimately, if I've got a client at Barcelona with 1 year left on his contract and Barcelona want him to stay and he wants to stay, but the wage isn't quite where it needs to be, as an agent, I'm going to put it out there that we've got big offers coming in from elsewhere. Remember though, if we want to sign Araújo in the summer, we do have to pay money as well. So it's not just the wage package. We'll have to pay Barcelona some money as well. So he's not coming in on a free. He's got a year left on his contract. Potter won't get an interview while we have these players. Clubs see them as valuable assets and the players know it. Board are scared of losing them, says K.I. Is it possible that we can't announce Ten Hag due to the respect he has for Ajax and the season's still ongoing, says Dean. We'd know about that, Dean. We'd know about that. We don't have to. Man United don't have to officially announce anything. I mean, here we go. Fabrizio Romano or other journalists announcing deals like Ornstein. They'll do it before it's officially announced. We would know if Ten Hag was the manager, even if it wasn't done officially. I wouldn't be surprised if we stall on Ten Hag deliberately so that they miss out on him and get Pochettino, says Dari. I fear something's going on. The board being impressed by Eric Ten Hag means that either he told them he'll keep certain players or he's okay with their budget, which makes me anxious, as Sheriff. And hi Mark, to help you produce Araújo's name, it is Araújo. Araújo. Hope it helps. Araújo. Thanks, Lil. So I've just finished on Araújo now, but we'll move on. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm not really bothered about name pronunciations, as you will know. Just a little bit, before I move on to something else, just a little bit of a reminder that tonight at 7:45, there will be no 8 o'clock show tonight. There's a massive game tonight for Cristiano and Bruno in the World Cup. They've got a World Cup qualifier against Turkey, which I'm doing a watch-along for tonight on That's Football. So I'll be live on there from 7:45. So our 8 o'clock show will be at 7 o'clock. So just to put it in your diary, I'm sure a lot of you would be watching it anyway, but it's a massive game. And it's not even, it's an opportunity where Ronaldo could go out of the World Cup altogether. Even if they win, they're not in the World Cup. They'll play another qualifier against the winner of Italy and Macedonia. So Portugal, Turkey tonight. Hopefully Portugal against Turkey next Tuesday for a place in the World Cup. But massive game, and we will see. I don't know whether Deleu's involved, actually. I didn't even look at the squad, but we'll see. But yeah, we'll be doing that. And finally, I just want to talk about Paul Pogba. Again, a story coming out last night. I think there was a headline that he'd said the club was dead. Completely misquoted. He said the season's dead. It's another season dead. We're not going to win anything, which is factual. We're not in the FA Cup. We're not in the Champions League. We're not winning the Premier League. For me, in relation to Paul Pogba, what do people expect? He's out of contract. He's going in the summer. He's always been quite vocal when he's with France, and I don't think he's been negatively vocal. I think he's told the truth. He's wasted his career at Manchester United. He feels United have wasted him. I feel it's a bit of both. A footballer's always going to protect their own brand, especially when they're looking for a new deal. He's not going to sit there and go, you know what, I've got to put my hands up. I've been absolutely inconsistent over the last 6 years at United, and I could have done better. His job is to promote himself. He's trying to get people to buy him. He's trying to get people to pay his wages. He's trying to find the best option for him. He hasn't said that we're a dead club. He hasn't said we're a shit club. He hasn't said anything like that. And ultimately, I don't think he ever would do that. So I think it's just about, it's like I said a couple of years ago, a divorce can be messy and toxic. This does not need to be a toxic divorce. It's time for Pogba to go, and it's time to part ways. And let's be classy about it. And I don't think he's going to come out and say something that's really derogatory about our fans or football club. So I think it's lazy journalism, actually, to try and sensationalise anything that Pogba says now, because I said this last night. I think 2 years ago, if Pogba had said things, it's like it's a big deal because he's got 2 years left on his contract. He's got 2 months left on his contract now. He's going. We know he's going. If he wants to put himself in the shop window, which he does, let him do it. I don't see the problem I don't see the issue. Sorry, I do see the problem. I don't see the issue in Paul Pogba anymore. I don't see the reason to dislike Paul Pogba, be toxic about Paul Pogba. Again, Man United's board have allowed this situation to happen. Not just because the contract's run down, but because they've appointed the wrong people over the last few years. And we just haven't got the best out of Paul Pogba. We haven't got the best out of Marcus Rashford. We haven't got the best out of Bruno Fernandes. We haven't got the best out of a lot of our players. And ultimately, that's why we're talking about trying to rebuild the club and get the right person in. And, this is why, for me, I don't give a shit what the players want. If I'm in training today, and obviously everyone's on international duty, if I'm in training today and Captain Harry comes over and says, you played with Poch, didn't you, at Southampton? Yeah, he's a top guy. Used to pick me up, really helped my career, and yeah, he's brilliant. Oh, he sounds good. I'm going to go and have a word with Richard. Hey, Richard, me and the lads, we like the idea of Poch. He sounds really good. Well, why don't you like the idea of Ten Hag? I've never watched Ajax. No one's ever played for him. Yeah, get back on the training ground, Harry, and practice your headers. Like, what the players think is irrelevant. Absolutely irrelevant. They're going on hearsay. They're going on the fact that they've been coached by Pochettino. And this is what the press are doing. I think this is what certain ex-players are doing. They're going for the option that they know because they don't know the other option. And that's like going to the Chinese and having beef chow mein every week and not trying different dishes because you know what beef chow mein's like and it's good. I couldn't give two tossers what any player in that squad, whether I like them or not, want as manager. That their job, and God do they need to know this next season, their job is to get down and work, not stick your head up and have an opinion. Couldn't give a shit about your opinion, lads. You're paid good money to wear our shirts. Focus on your own game, because I tell you what, not enough of you are doing that. Do not give a toss what you think about who the manager should be. Because you know what? You might not even be here. And that's a great point. How many of these United players can you guarantee will be here in 3 years' time? Guarantee they will be here in 3 years' time. I can't think of any. I can't guarantee you one United player that will be here in 3 years. I can fear who will be here in 3 years, but actually with competent management and development, I can't guarantee anybody be here in 3 years. So why would I listen to them? I want a manager for 5 years, and I can't guarantee any of you are going to be here in 3 years. So I don't want to listen to you. I'm not going to listen to you and your familiarity projects. I love beef chow mein. I actually exposed myself, Daniel, because I'm really lazy when I go to the Chinese. I always have the same thing. I'm a poch at the Chinese restaurant. Love US United stand. Thoughts on that? Ridiculous statements from the club are due to being PLC, pandering to public and investors as structures ridiculous as MDD. George says we'll still have most of the players because they like to keep crap. Well, the honest answer is it's harder to say who won't be here in 3 years than who is going to be here. But no, other way around. Mark, here we go. Silly Dutch journalist spinning, saying 2 big clubs are also in for Ten Hag, supposedly PSG, Juve. We know, according to Fabrice, it's us, says Andrew. And Kunku, Tchouameni and Gvardiol for the price of Rice. Come on, says Florence. Yeah. I mean, Varane might not be here in 3 years, Gideon. I nearly mentioned Varane, but he might not be here in 3 years, because if we're shit, he'll go. Look, De Gea might not be here in 3 years. Delon might not be here. Wan-Bissaka might not be here. Varane might not be here. Maguire might not be here. Shaw might not be here. Telles might not be here. McTominay, Fred, Bruno, there's Ronaldo. For all different reasons, Rashford, Sancho. Players could go because they've had enough of our crap we are. Players could go because they're not good enough. I can't guarantee you any of these players will be here in 3 years, so why would I listen to them? And you should never listen to your bloody players anyway. I'm not interested. I guarantee you that Sir Alex Ferguson wasn't having chats with Roy Keane about who the assistant coach should be when he was changing it, because he was in charge. We need a manager in charge. That's what we need. I've got a cracking video coming up for you at 2 o'clock. It's a very interactive one. Do not miss it. It's about the striker United should sign, and I want your input on it. So tune in at 2 o'clock. What I would say, pending no big news coming in before, because I think at some point we're going to hear that Man United have interviewed Pochettino this week. I hope we are anyway, because they need to get moving. But it makes me want to throw up, but they're clearly going to interview Poch, aren't they? And I'll go back to what I said at the start. It's hilarious, isn't it? It's absolutely hilarious. We're going to interview managers for the job who have completely different mindsets, completely different backgrounds, and completely different visions. What does that say about Manchester United? What does that say? As I said, it makes no sense at all. It's like we want a striker and we're chasing Erling Haaland and Lacazette. Completely different strikers with completely different styles. Surely you've got a vision for what type of striker you want. And it goes with the manager as well. Ten Hag, Pochettino. We're going to interview them both. We're doing a thorough job. Hold on a minute. Very different managers, very different backgrounds, very different philosophies, very different signings, very different recruitment, very different coaching. What's your vision? That's a very good question. Basically, we're just going to put it all on the manager. We're just interviewing 2 good managers, we think, and we're going to pick the one that's best. We don't have a vision. Thanks for watching. I'll see you at 2. Smash the like on the video. Make sure you subscribe.